All right, good morning, team. We are starting our science lesson for today. Go ahead right now and put your name and house at the top. We all can't be a part of the best house. That's Bridget's house. Be quiet, don't say anything. What I want you to do is silent and solo on your own. Go ahead and look at the image here to answer questions 1 through 4. Go ahead and pause the video so that you can answer these questions on your own. Go ahead and pause right now. No, actually, right now. Thank you. All right, great to have you back. Now it says, what is pictured in the image to the right? You should acknowledge both of the types of cells here. So you need to write a eukaryotic and prokaryotic cell. It says, what is the cell on the left called? We can just say eukaryote. What is the cell on the right called? We can say prokaryote. What are two key differences between the two cells? Which cells make up the cells in your body? So if we look, we see that the cell on the left has all of these different structures called organelles, and the cell on the right really only has one type of structure on the inside, two actually, the ribosomes and then nucleoid. The rest of these pieces are really the outside pieces of the prokaryote. So what we want to acknowledge is that the eukaryotic cell contains many more organelles like the nucleus and mitochondria than the prokaryotic cell. And we know that all these organelles help the cell to function. So what we'll say is that we can definitely assume that the eukaryotic cells make up the cells in our body. Make up, excuse me, the cells in our body. All right, so if you take a look, you notice that for questions 4 and question 1, I used a complete sentence. You should as well. If you need to pause the video here to get these answers down, go ahead and do that at this time. We're going to keep on rolling with a blast from the past. Now, this one is a little bit complicated because I know we haven't talked about lysosomes and vacuoles in a minute. The question 1 says, what does a lysosome do in a cell? You need to write down, it breaks down cellular waste. So let's say one of the organelles in the cell actually stops working. The lysosome is going to release this, what we call digestive enzyme, almost like spit. Make a spit bubble right now. Let me see it. Don't do that. That's disgusting. You're not in kindergarten. Don't do that. But it's going to release like a spit almost, and it's going to help break down things that are broken in the cell, and then it's going to be released through the cell membrane. It's a lot of information, but it's good stuff to know. What does a vacuole do in a cell? It holds, or you can say stores, water, waste, and food. So if we were to compare these two structures to things that we see every day, the lysosome would pretty much be like a garbage disposal. You know that switch you flip on in your kitchen and like grinds up all the food? Yeah, it's like that. And the vacuole would almost be like a closet or a cabinet. So it says write out the following items below in order from smallest to largest. I actually want you to pause the video here and try this on your own. On your own. All right, pause the video here and then holler back at me as soon as you're done. All right, we're back at it. So as you can see, I have finished my list. So if we want to start with the smallest of the small, we know that atoms are the basic building block of all matter, all biotic and abiotic things. If we go next, I know a lot of you may have put cell first or even cell second, but remember, a vacuole is a tiny organelle that's found inside the cell. So of course it's going to be smaller than a full cell. Next, we know these three are pretty simple. Boom, boom, boom. So then we had to choose between heart and human. We know that the heart fits inside of the human, so the heart is going to go first. And of course, the organism or human would be the biggest piece. Go ahead and turn the page. You are going to take the next 4 minutes, silent and solo, and it definitely actually shouldn't take that long. It should be about 2 minutes because we just practiced all of these words on Quizlet. 2 minutes, silent and solo. Go ahead and complete questions 1 through 13. All right, good luck. That's a thumbs up. Okay, I'll do it this way so you can see it. All right, good luck. All right, we're going to go over our vocab. So for number 1, it says directs all cells' activities, contains DNA. We know that's the nucleus. Whenever we see anything that says directs or control center, we always know we're talking about the nucleus. Directions for how to run the cell inside the nucleus, we always know is the DNA. Releases energy stored in food. Anything about releasing energy is always mitochondria, that powerhouse. Storage area for the cell, that free storage area we can always connect to the vacuole. Contains digestive chemicals that break down waste and worn out cell parts. We know we're talking about the lysosomes, that garbage disposal. Semi-permeable membrane. You don't even need to read the rest, but you should just in case. That lets only certain things into and out of the cell is our cell membrane. Remember, the cell membrane is found in the plant cell and the animal cell. Make sure that you make your paper look just like mine, unless you want to F. Rigid wall that protects plant cells and supports the plant. We know it's the cell wall. Again, only found in the plant cell, the cell wall. Trap sunlight for photosynthesis. We know we're talking about the chloroplast. This is also only found in the plant cell. Variable you change is the independent variable. Variable you measure is the dependent variable. Things you keep the same in an experiment. Sometimes we call it the constant, sometimes we call it the control. Group with nothing changed, so you can compare it to groups with the independent variable, is our control group, and a specific structure in a cell is the organelle. So when we're talking about organelles, we know several already: the nucleus, mitochondria. Yep, you're going to write these down. I know you were thinking like, does she want me to write this? I do. Vacuole, lysosome. Yeah, I forgot how to spell it, my bad. Cell membrane. And these are just the major ones that we're going to encounter and most likely encounter on our exam. All right, let's go ahead and turn the page and figure out what we're talking about today. So we saw these two cells earlier on our first page. Let's take a look at our enduring understanding. It says cells are surrounded by the cell. Yep, when I pause, you fill in the blank. I just want you to whisper it so you don't disturb the person next to you. Seriously, it's like Dora the Explorer. You got to say it. You got to talk into the TV. Cells are surrounded by the cell membrane. Thank you for saying it. Prokaryotic. Repeat that after me. Prokaryotic. I'm waiting for you to say it. Repeat it after me. Prokaryotic. Thank you. This means it has no organelles inside, and most prokaryotic organisms are just bacteria. Eukaryotic, say that word after me. Eukaryotic. No, you actually got to whisper it. Eukaryotic. Thank you. This means that it does include organelles, and these are found in animal and plant cells. And then again, cell organelles are the structures inside. So these are the organelles inside the eukaryotic cell. So reviewing from last week, each cell is like its own little factory that carries out the daily activities. The blank is like the command center for the cell. Try to take a guess and figure out if you know what this is. I'll give you 5 seconds. 3, 2, gotta go get my nails done again. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me focus. The nucleus. Remember, anything that says the command center or the brains of the operation, always going to be the nucleus. Cytoplasm flows around the cell carrying structures called, all those structures are the organelles. This one again from last week, you may not remember it. Ribosomes are responsible for making proteins. And just like a factory, cells take in materials and send out waste. And bonus, what is the structure that carries things in and out? Semi-permeable. On this line, you're going to write down the cell, you guessed it, membrane. So our anchoring question for today is, how in the world does a cell work? Let's figure it out. Go ahead and turn the page. All right, we're going to read our text together and then you are going to answer the questions on the side on your own. Here we go. Prokaryotes missing a nucleus. It's weird. If you're looking to learn about cells with a nucleus, this is the wrong place. Prokaryotes do not have an organized nucleus. Their DNA is kind of floating around the cell. It's clumped up, but not inside of a nucleus. If you want to learn about cells with a nucleus, look for information on eukaryotes. And once again, a prokaryote is a single cell or organism that does not have an organized nuclei. And again, nuclei is plural for nucleus. Same word. Prokaryotes are the simplest of simple organisms. Here's the checklist. Prokaryotes have no organized nucleus. Remember, everything is just kind of like floating around like this, all together inside of that one cell. Prokaryotes do not usually have any organelles. They will probably have ribosomes inside of their cells. Those would be like tiny dots that represent the proteins. Prokaryotes are very small, microscopic. You can't even see them. And again, these are usually bacteria. So you probably have like a bajillion prokaryotes like crawling all under your fingernails right now because you probably like scratching your nose or something earlier. But again, they're super small. Don't even worry about it. You can't even feel them crawling. Prokaryotes don't have mitosis or meiosis like other cells. Scientists don't really have a good way of describing how they duplicate. So again, these are processes in order to reproduce or make more cells. All right, let's jump down to eukaryotes, my faves. Eukaryotes, cells with parts. This is the place to learn about cells with a nucleus and all sorts of organelles. Eukaryotes are what you think of when you think of a classic cell. Eukaryotes are cells that can do anything. They are the cells that have helped organisms advance to new levels of specialization beyond imagination. Eukaryotic cells have an organized nucleus with a nuclear envelope. So that's like a smaller cell membrane inside of the cell around the DNA. They have a brain for the cell. They have a discrete area where they keep their DNA, like a safe. Eukaryotic cells usually have organelles, which means small organ. The function is to provide for the needs of the cell, protect the cell, repair the cell, help get rid of waste, and work to bring food supplies. They might have mitochondria, maybe a chloroplast, or some endoplasmic reticulum. They have parts that work to make the cell a self-sufficient organism. So right now, what you are going to do that we finished the text is go ahead and answer questions 1 through 5, silent and solo on your own. Shouldn't take you more than 2 minutes and 37 seconds. All right, go ahead and pause the video right here. Answer those questions. All right, guys, let's answer these questions. So number 1 says, what is a prokaryote? You need to say it is a cell with no organized nucleus. Let's shift this over just a bit. All right, excellent. And then we got that information from right here. Question 2 says list 2 characteristics of a prokaryote. It gives us all this information down here, so we just need to pick 2. We already used this one, so I will say they usually do not have organelles. And are very small. Awesome. Jumping down here, what are eukaryotes? They are cells that can do anything is kind of vague. So the best thing to say is that they are cells that have an organized nucleus, which is here, as well as organelles. So that's what we're going to write for our answer. So they are cells with a nucleus and organelles. This question is going to come up a lot because we got to make sure that we understand what this word means. What is an organelle? So you're going to say they are small structures inside of the cell. The bigger piece is that all those structures work together to help the cell live and perform its function. It says list two functions of an organelle. They give us one, two, three, four. We're just going to write down two. So we're going to say repair the cell and help get rid of waste. Awesome. If you need to pause the video at any time to get those answers down, go ahead and do that. Make sure one, two, three, four, and five are answered in a complete sentence. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to check my capitals. I'm going to check my punctuation. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn the page. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to go to BrainPop. We're going to take a look at the DNA video. So what I'm going to do, just to save you some time, is go to BrainPop right now for you. Hopefully, excellent. That's probably how you guys feel when it moves slowly. We're going to type in DNA and take a look at the DNA video. Now, I don't think that it's going to record for my computer, so this is what I want you to do. I want you guys to go ahead right now and pause the video, go to BrainPop on your own, watch the DNA video, and you're going to answer questions 1 through 10 using the video. You are not going to take the quiz today, so make sure that all you do is just watch the video. All right, guys, I will see you back in about 6 or 7 minutes. All right, let's take a look at the responses from the video. So what is today's scientific question you should have? Why is DNA so important? What does DNA stand for? DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. It's a tough word to say. Make sure you spell it correctly because it was in the video. I know I'm moving through these quickly, so if you need to pause the video, make sure you do that. No shortcuts, no excuses. Make sure you get your answers down. I'm talking to you, Brian and Matthew. Here we go. Where is DNA found inside the cell? DNA is found inside the nucleus. How is DNA arranged? DNA is arranged in a spiral shape called a double helix. I should see all 4 of these words in your response. Spiral shaped. You see Ms. Tucker tried to draw a double helix here. Did not go well the first 2 times. Called a double helix. What do we call the long strands or braids of DNA? We call the long strands chromosomes. All right. Again, if you need to pause the video, you can do that. We're going to turn the page when you're done. What are the 4 chemicals found inside of our DNA? They are cytosine, guanine, adenine, and thymine, or thymine. You can also just say C, G, A, and T, because most scientists just refer to them as the letters. Where do the genes on our chromosomes come from? So where are we getting all of this genetic material? We are getting them from our parents. What is cloning? And this is stuff that's actually going on today. It sounds like super futuristic, but scientists are cloning in labs every single day. Because cloning just means to copy the DNA of a living organism to grow a new one with the same DNA. And number 9, how do farmers use DNA to help them grow crops? Farmers use DNA to create genetically modified fruits and vegetables. This means they carefully insert selected genes into plant cells to produce better fruits and vegetables. So if you wonder why strawberries are so red or why certain fruits look massive today, it is probably because they are genetically modified. You are eating fruit that had genes manufactured in a laboratory and inserted into the plant cells. So because so many people today actually have a problem with genetically modified fruit, they look for labels that say non-GMO, which means that things were grown the old-fashioned way. So the next time you go to the store, I actually want you to look for this label because that lets you know there was no laboratory interference. Scientists weren't taking things that they manufactured or created in a lab and putting it into your food before they served it to you. See if you can tell the difference between the non-GMO and organic foods and those that have been genetically modified. The final question says, would you like to be a scientist that studies genes one day? Would you like to be a scientist that creates this new fruits and vegetables? Why or why not? You're answering that question on your own here. All right. Once you are done, we're going to flip to evidence dive one. You have 3 minutes silent and solo. Take a look at the image here and then answer the questions at the bottom. All righty, going over evidence dive one. It says, what is the title of the diagram? That was simple. You just had to copy it down here. Excusez-moi. What can you find inside of the nucleus? Inside of the nucleus, we can find chromosomes. You can place that as your answer, or you can say what's inside of the chromosomes or what makes up the chromosomes, which is the DNA. Either one is acceptable. What four letters make up a strand of DNA? You were looking at the four letters here. We have A, T, G, and C. What do the strands of DNA combine to make? That information was here. Boom. The strands of DNA combine to form a double helix. So make sure you have double helix as your answer. And then what is the purpose of the DNA? The purpose of DNA is to hold the genetic information for the organism and provide the instructions for the organism's characteristics. So that can be anything from skin color to the height of the person to their hair color. All of those things are stored in the genes in the DNA. If you need to go back and pause the video here to get these answers down, I suggest you do. The main idea is very important, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you get it down. I'm going to turn the page now, but again, if you need to pause the video, go ahead and do that. So that means Ron J, talking to you. Elliot and Malik, talking to you. All right, evidence dive two. Even though it says three at the top, let me cover this up. I want you to first, silent and solo, try on your own. Pause the video right here. No, I'm serious. Pause it. I'm not going to keep going until you pause it. Excellent. So right now, these answers should be done on your own. Let's go over the answers together. It says, what are the two types of cells that are shown in the diagram? Pretty simple because it says it right there. So we're not going to go over those kindergarten responses. What is one part of the cell that both cells have in common? You can say ribosomes. It says list all parts of the eukaryote cell. So all we did was list all the pieces here. For number 4, list all the parts of the prokaryote cell. List all the pieces here. I do want to note that this flagellum here is used for movement. So the cell is going to whip this back and forth, almost like a fish's tail, and that is how it moves. It says, where does the eukaryotic cell store its DNA? Inside of the nucleus. And then what does a eukaryote have that a prokaryote does not? A whole lot. See how I made a rhyme there? The eukaryotic cell contains a nucleus and several other organelles to help the cell perform its function with a collection of other cells. So what does that mean? I want you to think of the prokaryote like Superman or Batman. Like this is an organism by itself on its own. A eukaryotic cell is going to join with a team of other cells to form a tissue. And so what does that mean? This one eukaryote cell could be like a skin cell, and it's going to join with a team of other skin cells in order to make a collective tissue. But this prokaryote cell is an organism all by itself. Again, it's microscopic. We can't see it unless we have a microscope, but it's not going to join with anyone. This is its own organism. So, going to join a team, going to live on its own. Let's go ahead and turn the page. Here we have some college notes for you to jot down. Again, you're going to need to pause the video here to make sure you get everything down. Mitochondria breaks down food to make energy. It is going to be found in both the plant and animal cell. The next one is the lysosome. We've talked about this several times throughout the packet today. It contains digestive enzymes similar to what we would think of as spit to break down wet waste and broken organelles. So if there's a mitochondria that breaks down, the lysosome is going to move over to it, release those enzymes, break it down, and then send it out through the cell membrane. This is found in both. The vacuole stores water, waste, and food. It is found in both, but this is something that is super important. The vacuole is going to be massive, large in the plant cell, small in the animal cell. So a vacuole might look like this in a plant cell, and the vacuole might look like this in an animal cell. Okay, that's definitely going to come up on an exam, so make sure you have this image drawn here. Cell membrane, we know semi-permeable means things can go in and out, in and out. That lets oxygen and water in and release waste. That's also found in both the plant and animal cell. The cell wall is the rigid exterior or outside to protect the cell. That's only going to be found in the plant cell. And then the nucleus is the control center of the cell that contains the DNA, also going to be found in both. So again, wherever you need to go back and pause the video to make sure you have all this information down, you need to go ahead and do that on your own. Mr. White is going to be coming around. Oh, look behind you. He's on, yep, he's right behind your shoulder, checking you out right now to make sure all of this information is filled in. Last piece you need to do today is your independent practice. We are going to grade this on our own. Now, there's only 4 questions, which means if you get one question right, that's a 25%, which is an F. If you get 2 questions right, that's going to be 50%, which is also an F. 3 questions right is a 75%. That's going to give you a C. It is super important for you to get 4 questions right, which is 100%, which is an A plus. All right. So don't want this, don't want this, don't want this. Don't be mediocre. This is what we want. Okay. So you need to take your time. You need to read each question carefully. We are using silly guess in order to answer the questions, which means you are going to eliminate 2 answer choices that are wrong. You're going to eliminate your chocolate cake, something that you think looks right, but we know it's not the correct answer. And then you're going to circle the correct answer. All right, good luck, team. You guys did a great job working so hard. Super excited to see which house gets the respect letters first. All right, have a great rest of the day, guys. Ta-ta.